You know what that sound means? That means it's time for another episode of Rogers Rules. And we have a guest today, but we're not treating her like a guest. She is a co-host on the show, Cam. So do not address her and ask her to answer a question. Anna is a part of the show today. Anna Bellinghausen from Hurrdat Sports. She does all things. And I'm not even going to say all things digital. She just does all things. Almost everything under the sun. Anna Bellinghausen has control over it.
At least I tried to. I try to when I can. Andrew, thanks for having me. Cam, thanks for having me. I love the intro. And yeah, we're repping. Oh, we're not matching totally, but similar shirts.
I forgot the shirt.
What's our official logo? Is it this one or that one?
Well, this one, it's two different
TTBT.
versions, but TTBT, team the best team, if you don't know what that means. It's just our little slogan.
That's how we roll. Team, the best team. And we feel like the best team when we're out at the CWS because we basically flood the gates, whether it's somebody on the inside, somebody on the outside. We have our tent, we have our area where people can come, say hello. Then when you're in the stadium, Anna normally hangs out, Anna and Sasha, and then Avery, and I think that's it. Maybe John's down there inside and a few other people. Those people are kind of like scattered. Like John will go take photos wherever, but Anna and Sasha and Avery will be like right by the home dugout. Normally there's like a tunnel there and that's where they kind of chill. And then they'll go back and do a little bit of work as I just smack my microphone around. And then they'll go back out of the field, get some great interviews, get some good stuff. Media day though is where like things really go down for this team.
Yeah. No, media day is like the biggest monster of them all, but in a good way, because you get to talk to all 8 teams. You kind of get the vibe of everybody. And I think that's where our best content comes from. So Avery and I will split up the team. So she'll do 4, I'll do 4. And we'll get like basically the preview interviews with some of the best players. And I mean, if you've looked at the list of all the guys coming this year, we've got some amazing talent in that top 30 of the mock drafts for Major League Baseball. So there's so much talent to talk to. But beyond that, also it's a day to get to know the personalities of the players a little bit more. We have some fun questions ready to go. I won't reveal those yet. We're switching it up. Apparently, I'm not allowed to ask what's a runza because we've done that so many times that everyone's like, oh, we've done that too many years in a row. We can't do it. Maybe I'll do it just for my own personal gain because I want to hear it. But we've got some new questions in the works.
Anna, don't let the people talk for you. You do what you think needs to be done. And here's the thing. No matter what, even though it's asked every year, they still can't figure out what a runza is. So until the runza is well known, this question needs to keep getting asked.
I agree because we have the best answers. One of my favorites is someone asked if it was a dress. People have asked if it's an event. There's so many different like ways people take this that it's kind of a never-ending question that we do need answered. I mean, that's the true journalism of the College World Series.
I still don't think I know what a runza is, and I've had plenty of them in my lifetime. So whatever I'm scarfing down, it tastes good, but you have to add cheese to the runza. Like if it comes without cheese and you just have, I know there's cabbage in there and ground beef, and maybe that's all that's in there, but they feel it's like some special seasoning that makes you come back, but it needs cheese or else it's very bland. And I'm a big foodie. You guys know me. I love to cook. I love to eat food, talk about food. May not look like it sometimes. Some people probably think like Andrew just skips breakfast and lunch and only goes after dinner, whatever that may look like. But yeah, the runza needs to get asked at some point in time, whether it's on cam, off cam. There's no way. It's the first appearance ever for Kentucky. There's no way they know what a runza is. No shot.
That's a really good point. I'll get their answers for you.
And maybe it's just a team thing. Like, avoid the ones that have been there before. Mm-hmm. But frankly, you look at this list of 8 teams and you're like, well, who was here last year?
Yeah.
Florida. Who was here the year before? I'm thinking Virginia. Virginia was here last year as well. So you have some teams that are, constantly there. Sure. Maybe we don't get their answers, but there's newbies.
That's what I'm thinking too. And honestly, what I wanted to do was print out a map and see if the guys can show me where Omaha is, because I feel like some probably don't know where they are.
Yeah, well, there was a video released on UNC's page, and when they touched down here in Omaha, one kid said it smelled like Omaha. I don't really know what that means because, like, if you come from Carolina, like, I've never landed in Carolina, and I've landed in Charlotte a couple of times. I've never got off my plane and, stepped outside of the airport and went, North Carolina.
Hey, they were pretty close to Carter Lake, though, so I'm sure.
Yeah, maybe so. That does give off a stench or two that you may want to avoid, standing too close to for a long period of time. Maybe they'll get a little woozy, but who knows? Was it farmland? Like, I really want to know what Omaha smells like to him.
Yeah, that probably will be a question I'll have to ask. That was my next thing too, on my list of questions was like, what did you think was in Nebraska versus when you got here?
You know what? The answer is going to be corn. At some point, it's just going to be corn.
Yeah, I know. But I think people, when they come to Omaha, at least for the first time, they're kind of surprised at how big the city is. So I'd be curious to see if the players think the same.
I was surprised that Omaha was as nice as it was when I moved there.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just a bummy Midwest town. It's actually more like a boomy Midwest town. It's got a great downtown area. Secondly, it's very safe to be in downtown Omaha at basically all hours of the night. And, you feel like, Cam, don't give me that look.
Hey,
don't give me that look now. I don't know where you're hanging out, but for me, it's been very safe when I've been in downtown Omaha. And the third thing is, I actually think Omaha is pretty clean. Like, that's what I was going to get to with, like, what does Omaha smell like? I'm like, I don't ever, like, feel like I'm walking and I'm like, gosh, this is dirty. Like, in St. Louis, you go downtown and you're seeing, I don't even know what you want. You probably don't even want to know what I'm seeing. In Kansas City, I saw a dog just take a dump in the middle of the street. So that doesn't happen in Omaha.
I've seen humans do that on the side of the street in Omaha.
I've only seen that in New York.
In the daylight, even.
Well, those individuals have some big stones.
It's a one-off thing. Yeah, that you don't see that every day when you come to Omaha. That's just a one-off random thing.
Once in a while.
Yeah,
smells like a homeless woman just squatted down when I got off the plane. That's just what Omaha smells like.
Welcome to Omaha, Runza, and people taking dumps on the side of the road.
Yeah, somebody had a Runza.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into this because I want to talk a little bit about FanFest. I want to talk a little bit about the bracket, and then Anna, we're going to do something fun to close things out, and I'm going to let your mind start to go to work. So the Jello Shot Challenge is obviously a huge component to the College World Series. We are going to give our winners of the Jello shots based off of where they fall in the bracket. So, for example, UNC and Virginia tee off first against one another. You have to say who moves on based on who you think is going to drink the most Jello shots.
Okay.
And then that's how we're going to pick our winners. It's all based off the real bracket, and we just go from there. And then, as I told Cam on Tuesday, little tidbit of information. Here's your Rogers fun fact. Virginia did not put up very good numbers last year, so I wouldn't expect them to do that this year.
No.
Okay,
they were low. They were low.
Think about that as we kind of go through. But let's start outside the stadium, and then we'll work our way in because it's not like we have to spend too much time out here. But you provided a pretty nice fan guide on Hurrdat Media's page or Hurrdat Sports' social media pages. And, some people were like, well, you should mention this town, or you should mention this area, you should mention this area. But I thought you did a really good job of kind of finding like a checklist. And I think that's majority of what you were kind of going for in that post. Of you may not figure out every spot, but you want to make sure you end up at Old Matt for, the concert, or you end up at, X, Y, and Z place for a good time.
Yeah. I mean, it was only a 90-second video, so everyone in the comments complaining, like, I couldn't sit there for 10 minutes and tell you to go to the zoo in your Aunt Barb's house, like, I don't have time for that. But, yes, I thought, like, the places I picked were the essential Omaha CWS places. Like, I wouldn't go to these places not during CWS time.
Well, you first off can't go to the Blatt.
Right.
Outside of these days.
Go to the rooftop, like outside of these 2 weeks. So I did the must see for the CWS, and I'm more geared towards like the college age because that's probably the people that are looking this up on TikTok and Instagram trying to find, okay, where the heck do people party in Omaha? Well, that was kind of the list I tried to give. Have to go to the Mat. That's where the biggest parties are. The most people. If you're from Omaha, this is like a little high school reunion for you, but like not in a good way. It's like kind of like the people that you see that you don't really want to run into and you're like forced to have that conversation. But if you're out of town or you're from out of town, then it's a lot more beneficial to be there. So it's a lot more strangers than if you're from here like I am. So
well, and that's why I like interacting with the fans when I'm down there, because first off, people don't talk like me. And I love that. When I was on my honeymoon, we met this young couple from Mississippi. They drove in with their 2 daughters. Their ages were like 3 and 4. And they're talking to me, Andrew, come in the pool and play with us. And I'm like, this is awesome. Like, I can't say no to a little girl with a country accent. So when we're out there and we're hearing people from Kentucky, we're hearing people from the Carolinas, you get people down in Texas, and you get really that Southern charm. I'm like, I just like hearing your voices. Like, that's why I'm talking to you. I really could care less about who you are and who you're rooting for. I just want to hear you keep talking. So my videos may be a little bit longer because of that, but that's okay, because I just enjoy the fun interactions with the fans.
No, it is fun to see all the different like types of cultures get together. And when I say culture, it's mostly like the Southern culture, because that's literally where everybody's from this year. But it's fun to see like the differences in each state. And also they're like so happy to be welcomed in Omaha. Like I really haven't heard a bad thing about anyone's interactions with people from Omaha, from out of state. Like everyone has glowing reviews of the people here. And I think it's just like the Midwest nice thing. Like we're all truly nice people. We're not going to cut you off in traffic. We're going to let you go. We're going to let
Where do you drive? In Omaha? Are you serious? All people do is cut people off.
I think Omaha drivers are nicer, though. I let people in all the time. I'm like, oh,
Anna,
go ahead and make your day.
You're a different breed. Let me tell you about the Omaha drivers that I know. They're the ones that don't know red means stop.
All right.
They just won't.
Every city has bad drivers, but
there you go. Here we go. Now Omaha's not so prestigious.
Omaha, all right. So we're nice, but maybe we won't let you in the lane. But we're not.
So now we're not letting anybody in.
But hey,
quit walking yourself back.
Omaha people are nice. What can I say, Andrew? I think that
I love Omaha. I love my people.
Exactly. Like we're nice, we're welcoming, we're gonna let you have a beer at the tailgate, try our food, whatever. But I think when you get like the Florida folks out there, and I'm so sad that LSU and Arkansas aren't here because those fans are nuts. But I think it'll be cool to see like everyone's game day traditions and like their chants and the shirts that they wear and like different little things that they bring to Omaha. I think will be cool. I mean, who doesn't love a vacation to the Midwest, right?
Well, and I'll tell you this too. Speaking of game day traditions, I think we're going to see a little bit of that Texas A&M charm, although we don't want to spend too much time on A&M for other reasons. But that Texas A&M tradition, when you're in the stands, you're hearing some chants, they're getting in your heads. I don't know if they're going to bring bubbles, whatever it may be. I think you're going to see a lot of that transpire, and poof, it's going to turn into a Texas A&M home game when you're playing the Aggies.
I would love to see that, because I'm really wondering what team Omaha people are going to take in as their own. I'm not sure, because there's no like true underdog except maybe Kentucky, because they haven't been before, but like there's no true, team that everyone in Omaha is probably going to root for. So it'll be interesting to see. But yeah, I'm all for all the teams taking over the stadium and getting to see hopefully the bubbles and like the 12th man, everything that they do for that, and like how they line up on the field with all the players and do their chant after wins. Or I think after every game they do that. But yeah, it's cool to see like just the different traditions, and just means more, Andrew. It just means more.
It all means more. This means more than anything on earth, right? At least this week of baseball. Now, I'm thinking about like, because you're mentioning a ton of different things, and my favorite thing to do is find the shirt that I love, and that shirt tends to become the winner, right? So I have my LSU shirt, I have my Mississippi State shirt, I have my boy Timbo's shirt from Omaha and Ole Miss. So who's going to be that team this year? You'll find out at the end of this. I'm telling you, Anna, you're gonna get the scoop. I have my team, but what I like to do is find like the best quote unquote like slogan. You know how when you can read, like my Mississippi State shirt, for example, is Oma Dogs. So I'm like thinking about all these different names, and you'll probably have the Oma Haggies, like Oma Haggies. You'll probably have the Oma Heels. I don't really know what NC State's going to do. The Wolfpack just doesn't really fit with the Omaha theme.
Yeah, I don't know what they're going to do.
Like maybe like the Oma Pack.
Oma Pack.
That could maybe work. And so I'm thinking about all these different team names, and I'm like, is Tennessee going to repeat what they normally do? Are they going to be the Omaha Bulls? Is Florida going? I don't even remember what Florida was last year, but I think Omaha haters would be sick.
Yeah, I like that. Omaha haters. Okay.
And it would be different. So I'll have my team before I have my shirt, and I told that to Cam because I have my team already. You know, it may be even taped to my back. Who knows?
Wow.
Because I have my one player. My one player always does it for me. And
Mm-hmm.
so I will lock in that one player after we kind of go through this list. But if you would have to pick a 8 seed in the tournament, who would that 8 seed be?
8 seed.
Out of all 8 teams, if you were ranking the underdog, if you're from Omaha and you're like, I have no rooting interest, but I'm just going to root for the team that has, the worst odds in my opinion. What is that? Who is that?
I mean, if you're going based off of record and expectation, that's Florida, right? I mean,
Which is crazy.
Right, and they were the last team in, one of the last teams in. They're a game above 500 on selection day. So it's that is the team, but they were just in the championship last year. Yes, they lost a lot of their guys, but they still have Jack Caglione, who I have an inkling that might be your guy that you're thinking of. So keep it calm. Keep it calm.
Well, Jack Caglione is unbelievable.
Yeah.
First off, the fact that he can do both pitching and, raking is just unbelievable. We see it in the sport today with Shohei Ohtani. And is Jack ever going to be Shohei Ohtani? Probably not. I think Shohei's just, he's like Jesus Christ, right? Who knows if anybody's going to play like Shohei Ohtani. But talent's never been an issue for this Florida team. Yeah. It's just, as you said, the record. They just did not perform this season hardly at all. But we have seen their capabilities down the stretch this season and knocking off top 25 opponents. So they found a way to deserve to be here. But after looking at the regular season, people were kind of kind of squinting their eyes, head tilt, huh? Are we sure we're seeing the right team? I had NC State as my lowest of the low. Sure. Granted, I have that because they're probably one of the more streaky teams. Mm-hmm. You've seen 4 or 5 game losing stretches this season, but then you've also seen them win 12 of their last 15. Mm-hmm. And so I just don't know how streaky teams really fare at this stage because they could be really well, right? They could do exactly what they're doing right now and just continue the momentum. Or they may fall flat on their face they did at points this season.
Do you see Tennessee as the number 1 seed? If anything,
I think they're the surefire number 1. Yeah. And in a lot of cases, Anna, I have a hard time. They're not the team I'm going to pick, but in a lot of cases, I struggle to wonder why that is. Mm-hmm. And you've seen it over the last 2 seasons. They've knocked themselves out. Mm-hmm. And so it's almost like it's their time. Right. They've battled so much adversity over the last couple of years. And it's almost like, why wouldn't you pick them? Because of everything that they've been building. I mean, Tony Vitello is one of the only coaches that I look at in this field. And I think, goodness gracious, 50 wins this season. Yep. Who would bet against 50 wins? And there's a reason for that. They have great starting pitching. They have consistent star power. And they've always been title contending. They just lost a couple of games last season and the year before that was just kind of well, sorry, you should have been better with Chase Burns. Yeah. And so it's hard for me, but I don't think I see a team better than them. And when did they ever leave the number 1 spot this year? It's almost like they've been untouchable.
Mm-hmm. I know that's interesting. And if you've heard Tony talk in press conferences, he is the most passionate guy maybe ever about just life, not even baseball, but anything he's talking about, I feel like he's screaming at me, but in a good way though. I want to play for him. I want to run through a brick wall for him. So I would love to see Tennessee get their flowers this year. Will it happen? I don't know. I think a team that's kind of being overlooked is Virginia. I don't know if they've been on your radar at all, but last year they went 0-2, but both of those games were 1-run ball games. And I think they have the best bats of this field of 8. And I don't know. I think Virginia could be a team that's a little bit overlooked. Tons of experience. They've gone 5-0 this NCAA tournament. They've been here 3 of the last 4 seasons. I mean, that's pretty much unheard of. So, yeah, I think Virginia could be a team that people overlook a little bit because of their 0-2 exit last year.
I think you are on to something there because 8 of their top hitters, 8 of their starters are batting over 300.
Yeah.
You don't see that on any other team. But I think starting pitching is going to be their thing because when their guys are on, nobody can touch them. I mean, Evan Blanco and company, it's just amazing what they can do. But that will determine how long they stay in Omaha. Is their pitching going to keep up like we saw in Super Regional play-in before, or is there going to be one bad start that just hits the Who's hard, and now here they go back in the losers bracket, and it's here we go again. So you're right. They have the experience that they've built up over the years. It looks like they have a pretty well compacted roster, but are all the pieces going to work?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the beauty of the CWS. But why do I have them as the 6th best team in this field? Well, it's bizarre, but for the first time in modern postseason history, not only does this CWS feature just 2 conferences, but it's basically chalk.
Mm-hmm.
Like 5 of the top 8 teams made the field. So it's like, well, where do you put who do the Who's go above?
Right.
If you have these top 5 teams in Tennessee, Kentucky, A&M, UNC, Florida State, just kind of chilling up there. It's kind of nuts to think about.
Yeah, ESPN had this great stat. It's the first time since 2011 that the top 4 national seeds have all advanced to the Men's College World Series. So, like, we don't see this every year. It's not normal to have all chalk in this bracket, and I think it's, in my opinion, I think the College World Series and the National Championship in baseball is the toughest thing to possibly win. That and March Madness, I think, are the 2 tournaments that are the most grueling for players to get to this point. So for those teams to like actually live up to expectations and go towards the College World Series and, you know, stay on that track that they were projected to be, I think that's crazy. Honestly, with the caveat of Florida is really the only one that we didn't expect to see in the College World Series, which sounds funny just because of how big that brand is. And they were literally, again, just in the CW or just in the finals. But I don't mind. I don't know about you, Andrew, but do you mind ACC and SEC being the 2 conferences?
I don't. And I think until somebody else proves that they belong, that's cool. I mean, we saw a lot of West Coast teams with like Cal State Fullerton from years ago that they were always finding a way. I don't know who you just said there. Who'd you say there? Stanford, UC Santa Barbara, was a team that made it, consistent. Like these West Coast teams just got to find their way back. I'd love to see a Big Ten team there at some point.
Yeah.
I mean, Nebraska is like, I feel like the closest that we've seen since Michigan. And so Michigan was good. Was that 3 years ago when Mississippi State won? I mean, Michigan was a good team. They just didn't have enough, in the tank. But I'd like to see more of that because if I remember correct, Cam, did I read on the last show that it's only been like twice since Big Ten teams have like made it?
Yeah, it was 2 times.
Yeah, 2 times. I mean, that's
they're
outrageous.
Yeah,
so low. Yeah. I mean, for how much money all those programs have and how many resources, they should not have only been in the CWS 2 times.
Yeah, I'll fact check that, but I'll get back to you on that stat because that's pretty crazy. I mean, a video may be made at some point on that this week.
I mean, that's pretty ridiculous. But once those teams come over next season, that streak will be gone. I would say in the next 2 years at least. But
yeah, most likely.
But
most likely.
That is tough. I mean, Nebraska had, I think, the talent to get to the College World Series. It just doesn't always work out like that. And I think they were a streaky team throughout the year. I mean, we saw the struggles in conference, and they were amazing in non-con games and stuff. But it's just interesting to see the difference between regular season and postseason. You just never know what's going to happen. But yeah, would love to see Nebraska. I cannot imagine what Omaha would be like with Nebraska in there. I'm not old enough to know.
Right. I was going to say some people know at least. We know that it's been done before and we've seen the crowds and photos. But to actually experience that, I mean, shoot, when they were making their way through the Big Ten tournament and then they were making their way through regionals, let's just say people were there. People flooded that stadium just to watch that team play. Now, Braden Montgomery, not there for Texas A&M. Not sure how long that means Texas A&M is going to last because when you don't have your best player, probably not making it all the way.
Yeah, I know it's tough to see his injury, but I did read that it was a clean break, and that's good for him because he can recover fully from that. I think some article was talking about his draft stock essentially not really being affected by that. So that's good to see, but it does stink because we want to see those stars in the biggest stage of college baseball because that's what it's all about, and like that's what brings fans to this game is those stars like Caitlin Clark in the WNBA, and you think about the players that will be the big names. So honestly, thank God Florida made it because Jack Caglione is such a fun player to watch, and he's a human highlight reel, truly.
One of the biggest stars, and I thought you put it perfectly there with Braden because even though he will be there, and it's good to see that the injury won't reflect it. I mean, this is a lineup with good firepower, but without him, I mean, do they have a reliable enough pitching staff to bounce back after allowing 15 runs to the Ducks in the Super Regionals? Like, that's not going to get it done. That's not going to get the job done here in the CWS. You have Kentucky, like we talked about, really good mound work there from front end to back end. You have UNC. They've had some narrow wins, so arguably maybe the most exciting wins that you'll probably see, and that's good for the College World Series. You like excitement, but is Vance Honeycutt enough? Is the pitching staff good enough to keep them in games that are close because they're kind of just a little bit all over the place? And then the last team, Florida State, they're just choke artists. We don't really need to talk about them. Florida State will choke. I grew up rooting for Florida State, and like they would always lose in the first round of the College World Series. And I'm like, here we go again. Here we go.
Florida State is a cool story, though. They went 23-31 last year. They didn't make the ACC tournament last year. And that's pretty crazy to go from that big of a turnaround. I think it was a 24-game turnaround from last year to this year. But, I don't have my marbles in the Florida State basket, but obviously you don't either because you have some childhood trauma you're bringing up. So.
And the team I'm going for, you will find out after we hear Anna's pick.
So you're making me go right now?
Anna, make the pick, because then we're going to make some Jello shot predictions before I let you go.
I'm going Virginia.
The Who's.
Yeah.
Surprise, surprise team. Okay, Cam, you know the list. You have 5 of the 8 top teams nationally.
Yep.
Who is your College World Series champion?
I'll say Virginia.
Wow. So back-to-back Virginians.
Yeah.
Virginians. I think it's Indians. Virginians. Carry the Enye.
Wait.
Remember the Enye?
Yeah.
Joke from a different day, Anna. Sorry. So my team, we're looking at the list. I have a little bit of a rooting interest. I like their colors. The team that I am choosing is UNC.
Okay.
UNC is winning the College World Series. I'm a huge Vance Honeycutt fan.
Yep.
Huge. I love center fielders. I played center field. This dude is a machine. Not like Bert Kreischer, take off your shirt type of machine, but a literal machine at the plate. He is raking. An elite prospect. Anna, you had mentioned there's a lot of top 30 guys there. Vance Honeycutt is one of them. I think that the pitching staff can get the job done because of those close wins I've seen lately, that they can hold on 2 games, and I think that will propel them. The funny part is that's the first game, UNC Virginia.
Yeah. After game 1, we got to figure it out. Yeah.
We have a good chance. 50-50. One of our teams is making it to the College World Series final.
Wait, Anna, did you say Virginia?
Yeah.
Oh man, I completely blocked that out. I didn't. We both got the same team. That's cool.
I was like, did you?
Where have you been?
Or did you?
I just kind of randomized the list, and I was like, Virginia looks good.
Okay, good. So that was.
I just kind of blocked out that you. Yeah, I didn't even know you said Virginia.
And I hate to break it to you, but Cam's 2 playoff contenders right now in terms of NBA Finals, NHL Finals.
Yeah.
Not looking great. He chose the Mavs and he chose Edmonton.
And they're not doing that great. So I picked the worst. I picked the bad guys.
Oh my God.
So
either he's due or you're screwed. And speaking of people getting screwed, I want to see him get screwed up. Let's go through the bracket here, and quickly we will make our Jello shot champions. UNC, Virginia, who moves on?
North Carolina, easy.
Yeah, for sure.
I would agree. North Carolina moves on. Tennessee, Florida State. Who can drink more?
Tennessee. Oh,
Tennessee.
And I think Tennessee lasts longer, and so that they'll be able to run up their total. I will agree with that play. Now you're going Virginia against Florida State. We're in the losers bracket.
Florida State. I'd go Florida State there.
I'll take Virginia.
It's going to be Florida State. We saw Virginia drink last year. They're gone. They're going 0-2 again. So now you have UNC against Tennessee. Who's moving on?
I think Tennessee. I think Tennessee brings more fans.
I would agree.
I'll take UNC on that one just for fun.
I would agree. I think Tennessee will show out more, and they're a little bit closer in terms of drive time. Not that UNC won't travel, because they will, but in terms of, I mean, they have a lot of distilleries in Tennessee. They can really put away some alcohol, and they like their hard alcohol. So give me Tennessee and the Jello shots. And now you have UNC, Florida State.
North Carolina.
I'll go Florida State on that one.
It depends on like what crowd of Florida Staters we get. Because if we get like a lot of college kids, like they could just put everybody away. I mean, I've seen those Florida State parties.
What I've gathered though is it's not always about the individual fans, but rather one fan that will buy like 1,000 shots.
Excellent point.
Like that's why LSU, was so good, because they had the Raising Cane's CEO founder. So we gotta maybe research some alumni that might be there.
Well,
but
I think
he's got to sell the whole bar out. Like you bet that he's gonna be buying some Jello shots for people.
So I think, if I'm correct, and I mentioned the machine already, Bert Kreischer was a Florida State Seminole. Okay. And I don't know how big of a baseball fan he is, but if they go far, would he tie himself to that team and the Jello Shot Challenge? I'm going to say Florida State here.
Okay.
I think that's a safe play. So, Anna, you have Tennessee, UNC once again. Is Tennessee going on?
Yeah, I think Tennessee brings a little bit more oomph.
Tennessee in the finals. Cam, Tennessee or Florida State?
Florida State.
Okay, there it is. So Florida State is there. I'd pick Tennessee. So that's my top of the bracket. Let's look at the bottom. You have Kentucky, NC State.
Kentucky. First time.
Doubt. No doubt.
Yeah,
like that's a no doubt home run.
Yeah.
Kentucky is going to smash. Just, oh my goodness. They're just going to let them flow. You have Texas A&M and Flo Rida.
It's like Florida. No, they like to party down there.
Texas A&M. I think they're a little bit more loyal to their sports.
I like that. I'm going to go with Texas A&M as well. We'll start with the winners before we go to the losers. So Florida and Kentucky for Cam.
Kentucky.
Kentucky A&M for Anna and myself.
That's a tough one. Because we've never seen Kentucky fans, so I don't know.
They could either be really good or really bad.
I know, but it is the closest team in terms of miles to Omaha, so I'll go Kentucky.
Okay, I think I'm going to take A&M here. Yeah. I think A&M could really show out early and do enough early on. So I'm going to take Texas A&M. On to the losers bracket. You have Texas A&M and what's it?
NC State.
NC State for Cam and I, right? No, I have Kentucky and NC State. See, this is so hard. I got to track three people's brackets.
Right.
And I don't know how you're doing this.
I got A&M and NC State, so I'll take A&M.
I'm going to take Kentucky because I have Kentucky and NC State, and Kentucky will move forward. Anna, you have A&M and NC State.
A&M all day.
A&M moves on. Okay, Here we go. Gingham. There she goes. Okay, now moving forward, it is A&M against, goodness gracious, what team did I have kicked out? Kentucky? Remember, I'm all over Kentucky. The place. Sure. I think this is what I'm going to say. I think it's going to be A&M against Kentucky at the very end. A&M's going to win one game, and then Kentucky. Wait, no, I had A&M. Kentucky's going to win one game, and then A&M's gonna prove. They're going to prove. They're going to shove.
Okay.
That's what I'm going with. I don't care how anybody else ran this bracket. This is my game. I make the rules.
These are your rules.
These are your rules. Okay. Of who I think is going to win the whole thing.
Yeah. Now who's going to win the whole thing? Sure. Whatever. I'm all over the place.
We're gonna go Tennessee.
I think Tennessee's a good pick. That's who I would pick.
We're gonna go Tennessee.
I forgot who I had in the bracket 1.
You
You
can't.
should have
Does it matter?
paid attention,
Doesn't
Cam.
matter. I don't care. Florida. I'm going Florida all the way.
Tennessee for the top 2. Cam is going Florida, and I think Anna. I think we're going to lock this one in. I think Tennessee's really going to shine for us at Rocco's.
Agree.
So if you are going to the College World Series, make sure to go to Rocco's, and if you don't have a team to root for, just put it on Tennessee for Anna and I, so that we can have bragging rights over Cam. Anna, I appreciate you. I know you got a lot to do as the College World Series gets ramped
You
up.
say like it's a big thing. Bragging rights. I'm an idiot. I don't know what I'm doing.
Hey, this matters, Cam.
Behind it. So.
Every little win matters. If we win, we get to shave your beard. This is a great thing. It's a great idea.
Oh, nobody agreed to that.
What do you mean? All I heard was agree to that. Sure, I'll agree to that. It lagged. I don't know what you're saying. Oh,
no.
Goodness gracious. I'm getting so worked up. Ashley's going to come home and be like, why are you so sweaty? And I'm going to be like, I was watching Cops. All right. This was fun. Rogers Rules, another episode. Anna Bellinghausen, check her stuff out at Anna Bell Media. Follow us on Hurrdat Sports, all social channels at Hurrdat Sports. You can find us basically everywhere. He's Kahm Broham. I'm Andrew Rogers. We will see you at the College World Series. Come say hello. And until next time on Rogers Rules.